everyone. I'm Marilyn from the Conceptual Play Lab, and presenting today is the team from the Conceptual Play Lab. So if we go next slide, Prabhat, and welcome our fantastic team, Glykeria and Prabhat.
Welcome everyone.
Hello everybody, my name is Prabhat.
And today we're very pleased to be with you. What we're going to be covering is, as you can see on the slide, a Zoom presentation, but we really have been asked to showcase what we're doing in our Play Lab. And so what we're going to be talking to is the research that we're actually participating in at the moment, taking forward as part of the Australian Research Council Laureate Fellowship Scheme. And also we're going to give you the inside story to how we work in our Play Lab under normal circumstances, but also with some little tweaks in terms of COVID-19. So this is a conceptual map of what we're doing and what the ARC has funded us to do. I'm just going to talk a little generally, and then Glykeria and Prabhat are going to talk to the research that they're leading. With this research, what we're seeking to achieve is, over a period of 5 years of funding, is the first programmatic study in science, engineering, technology, education for early childhood. And we have 3 pillars of research. And so I'm going to hand over to Glykeria, who's going to talk to pillar 1.
Yes, pillar 1 is particularly interesting in exploring how young children form the STEM concepts. So we are particularly interested about science, engineering, technology, and mathematical concepts, and how young children are managing to form these concepts through their play and through their imagination. So our focus in concept formation, but also in imaginary play with young children. And because this is a longitudinal study, we are lucky enough to be able to follow the children as they grow up, beginning from infants, grow up to toddlers, and then finally as preschoolers. So we are able to go into centers. We have a cohort of 130 children. So we are going into different centers, early childhood centers, and we support the educators there to implement conceptual play worlds. And at the same time, we are supporting the children to form these concepts as they are playing within the conceptual play worlds. So this is a small overview about pillar 1, but we also have pillar 2, and Prabhat can give you more information about that.
Yeah, thank you. Pillar 2 of the Conceptual Play Lab is largely working with families and also working in informal learning spaces. So what we are doing in Pillar 2 is, for the next 5 years, the period of the ARC grant, we are going to cover approximately 100 families and trying to understand how conceptual play world as a pedagogic tool can contribute to creating motivating conditions in the family home settings where families with their children can play together, can create a collective imaginary situation, which can then help them to learn STEM concepts. We are also working alongside with institutions like Playgroup Victoria, where we are particularly interested in supporting families who could not access generally the early care centers. And working with them provides us an enormous possibility also to understand a kind of multilingual and a diverse population here in Australia, and how one can support them also in learning STEM concepts from the very early years. So that in a nutshell is the larger work of Pillar 2. For Pillar 3, probably Marilyn can talk more.
And pillar 3, we're very excited by this pillar as well. This is taking forward an evidence-based model of STEM teaching, intentional STEM teaching, but in the context of our conceptual play world model, and that's come from previous AR research. So what we're going to do in this particular pillar is, and we've started, is provide professional development for early childhood educators all around Australia, and our target is 3,000 teachers. with this model. And we think it's become particularly important in the current context because COVID-19 has meant that even infants and toddlers have had to engage in new kinds of practices in their families. And here in Victoria particularly, where everybody has to wear a mask, this has created new conditions for children. And we think knowledge of STEM has become particularly important. So educators feeling confident and competent in this area in a credit-based model, which is what we have, builds on their strengths as amazing early childhood educators who understand play pedagogy, who understand child development, and who know how to plan in relation to children's development. And that's what we're taking forward in that pillar. So we have a great model. It's free professional development. Please tell everybody about it. And so we're looking forward to lots of people signing up and participating in that part of our research, in addition to our VIP model that we're piloting in Victoria and are actually around the world at the moment. But next year in particular, we're rolling out our 3,000 teachers. So that's an overview, and you've probably noticed that we have on the slides science, engineering and technologies. We have our colleagues in our faculty who've joined us, and we have the covered in STEM. And so here you see a picture of actually how our faculty has supported our Play Lab by giving us an amazing space and converting a space into a Play Lab for us. We're thrilled with the spaces to make the research visible in the faculty, but also for people coming in from the community. Similarly, we've focused very much on showcasing social media through Twitter, through YouTube, through Facebook, and a series of videos. And Prabhat will talk in a little while about an app that we have as well. And all of those resources make up the package of supporting educators and families to be involved in our research. And of course, one of the things that's particularly important for us has been showcasing and launching our work. So we've had 2 big launches already, and next year we'll have a 3rd launch that we take forward. We also, if we go to the next slide, Prabhat, we also have a series of papers and things that we've put out in terms of things that are available to the community, things that are available to educators, but also working papers on our it's not going to come out. It's COVID, I'm sure. Not our Facebook. What am I looking for? Website. Yes. And as you can see, we're actively involved on the next slide with continuing this resource production. This was pre-COVID, and post-COVID we'll be able to continue with some of this work. We have some clever solutions that we're taking forward in relation to that. So if we go to the next slide, we have other dimensions of our work, which is to do with building a community of researchers. So we have PhD students who have scholarships, but also affiliated PhD students to our Conceptual Play Lab. And we also have Sue, our research officer in the middle there, who support them with research training. Some of you who are watching this may know Sue. And that takes us through to the next slide, where one of the things that in COVID context that we've had to do is we can't physically meet at the moment. So of course, the platform of Zoom has become particularly important for us. So, but we have many other things, and Glykeria is going to tell us about those.
Of course. So in our Conceptual Play Lab community, we have created and developed a wide range of practices in order to support, to create in general a supporting environment for early childhood education researchers where they can bloom as researchers and they can feel confident and competent enough. So in order to take forward their research and importantly enjoy their research. So one of our practices is reading groups. Reading groups are held once a week in the Conceptual Play Lab. And this is a space where we can share, we can read together and delve into our readings, and where we can actually deepen our understanding about what we are reading by commenting and discussing and asking questions and reflecting in a particular reading that is suggested by the supervisors and the senior researchers, or Of course, it emerges from students' interest and needs from time to time. So this is really important because we actually allow to our team to find different perspectives in understanding a particular reading, and at the same time use different lens in order to see how a reading can be incorporated and used either in a review chapter that the students are preparing, or in a literature overview, or when we are preparing papers. So this is really important because it actually gives an answer to the great challenge that we all have about how we can orient ourselves within the ocean of the literature where we are doing the research, and how we can do that without reinventing the wheel, but in an efficient and reasonable enough quick way. So this was one practice that we do have. The other practice tradition that we have in the Conceptual Play Lab is the PhD days. The PhD days are really important for us. They are held once a month, and this is where the PhD students community, the supervisors, academics from our faculty, and maybe visitors in our Conceptual Play Lab come together in order to have a sense of belonging against the academic isolation, and at the same time share and communicate their research and feel extroverted while they're participating in an event like that. So the focus of the PhD days is to catch up as a team and discuss theoretically about concepts, reflect in our readings, but at the same time share our struggles and get some feedback, and importantly learn from each other and get some inspiration about how we want to continue our research. This event is particularly important because it is led by the PhD students. So we are really interested in giving the PhD students some leadership roles, so they can organize, they can familiarize with themselves with organizing and also sharing events like that. So this is one practice, and one more practice that we would like to share is, of course, is the living laboratory, because we talk about some theoretical and methodological challenges, but in research, when you're doing research, there are much more challenges like practical issues that we have to face. So we are having some frequent training sessions in the Conceptual Play Lab, where we are actually familiarizing ourselves with the equipment that is going to be used during the data collection. We are familiarizing ourselves with the data generation processes and the data collection, how we can organize the folders in order to prepare our material in order to be analyzed, how we are doing the analysis. So these are more or less more practical issues about how you can manage the great amount of data and the everyday necessities when you are doing research. And this gives us a space to generate and collect data of high quality, and at the same time give us the ability to delve into the data in the best possible way. So this is both for the senior researchers, of course, and also the PhD students. So that was a very quick overview of the practice traditions that we have created and developed in the Conceptual Play Lab in order to support the researchers. Of course, that was before the COVID crisis, because the COVID crisis put new demands on us and make us think in new ways of doing things and transform our practices. So I will now hand over to Prabhat to talk about these transformations and much more.
Yeah, I think one very important part of this transformation and movement in COVID-19 situations, especially trying to design this online set of tools which we have worked. So I'm in no way trying to say that it has not been a huge shift for us, because at the stage when COVID-19 came here in Victoria, the restrictions were imposed and we had to rethink, replan, and redesign our educational experiment. So the number of tools which we have designed surely includes Zoom, but additionally, what we have also worked on is uh, on the augmented reality tools and the virtual reality tools for giving educators and families a better sense of how being in a conceptual play world may look like. Fortunately, we had an app which was available on the iOS, but more recently we have launched and redesigned this app, especially in the context because it basically provides possibility for users across iOS and Android to use it better. You can search the app with the FLIR's Conceptual Play Lab in the App Store or in the Play Store and can download this. This provides possibility to record, to label the videos which you have got based on the characteristics of the conceptual play world, and also to see sample conceptual play world videos from our previous research. So I'm talking about a tool which basically offers and affords certain kind of new modes of action and engage with the idea of conceptual play world in the home setting or in the early care center space. The app we expect in a way would empower families and educators to design STEM pedagogy for children in early years. We also hope that while browsing through some of the sample videos that shows the 5 characteristics of the conceptual play world, educators and families would become more aware of their own home pedagogy. So it is more of a credit model, as Marilyn said initially, of working with families and educators. So the key term for us when we were working with these new design tools is basically to empower and care for the families and educators in Victoria and also worldwide whom we are working with. Now, the second part, and something which Glykeria was also talking about, is basically so is basically trying to also see the conceptual play lab in the larger context of research in Australia and in the larger network of research happening across the world. So given the prestigious nature of the ARC grant, and also because of Professor Marilyn Freer's huge popularity, for the first few months, we have constantly been getting a lot of people visiting the Play Lab, and so it provides a huge possibility for our students to speak to people directly. Say, for example, sometimes when we have visitors from Department of Education and Training here in Victoria or Playgroup Australia, it provides a huge possibility for students to speak from practitioners and professionals who are engaged in the field. Our more recent relationship with a number of informal learning spaces like the Royal Botanic Gardens or Melbourne Zoo also expands the horizon for early childhood education research, not to be situated only in home setting or in the early childhood centers, but also in all these different other social spaces, which could be a huge possibility for the entire sector. By this, what I mean to say is that our effort in this scenario is to make play, and especially models like the conceptual play world, more visible for children's learning in early years. And that takes us to the number of other set of international collaborations and tool innovations which we have been doing. And we have been planning to visit a number of international conferences. Most of them have now become online, so participating from them sitting here in Victoria. But also we are looking forward to 2021, where we would be able to maybe go out and present our work across the world, especially in Europe and Southern Australia, Southern America, where we have booked for the ISCAR and a few other conferences. And that basically takes us to also these collaborations contributing to a number of publications. And I again invite maybe Glykeria to talk a bit more about the publications.
Yes, that's true. We are particularly interested in showcasing, sharing, and communicating our research, and importantly, making our research available for everybody. So we are trying to publish as much as we can, and we have an international book series that we are publishing, handbooks and book chapters, and of course, journal papers that we are preparing from time to time, and we are publishing in order to make our research available for everybody who is interested in. So of course, all of these achievements have to be celebrated. So we are very keen of celebrating our achievements in the conceptual play labs and our students, of course, achievements. So a way that we have in order to communicate this and celebrate this, whatever we are doing in the conceptual play lab, is the newsletter that we have, and is available for everybody to subscribe through our website. So once you're subscribing in them and getting the newsletter, you will see updates and news about our research and about the events that we are participating, and about new things and innovations that we are doing in our conceptual play lab. So I will now hand over to Marilyn to conclude the presentation. We can hear you, Marilyn.
So I want to thank you. I want to thank everyone, the team in particular, and everyone who's listening today, who is at the conference in whatever mode, and to say that one of the things that's really important for us in our conceptual play lab is this notion of building this new legacy, and we feel very privileged that we have Australian Research Council grants to take this forward. But essentially for us, it's not just our team that's building, it's not just the networks that are building that our team's been talking about, it's not just the international collaborations that we have and continue to build, but it's also importantly our PhD students, who are our next generation of researchers, and we're just very passionate about supporting them to take forward research in early childhood education. So that group that's graduating, and we have a large group, that they become our next thought leaders in the field, the ones who can do the innovations and take forward the new methods and methodology, and who are very sensitive to the context in which we work in early childhood education, where play, children's development, learning are featured, and finding new ways to take that forward and asking the hard questions. So our play lab, our living laboratory, and our virtual laboratory, as we have it at the moment, is taking that all forward. And you can see on the screen, we're always interested in thinking about what might be the problem, what might be the solution, and thinking about what action can we take. So thanks everyone, and enjoy the rest of the conference.